Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode about for Real Talk about real estate investing. And I'm joined today by Leanne. Steff and Mike are away for the day, both busy with their 9-to-5s. So Leanne and I are talking today with Lauren Cohen. So Lauren and I became connected. What do you say, Lauren? Like a year ago, maybe 6 months ago?
I don't know. It was over COVID. It all melds together.
I know. It's like those years just kind of melded into one. And
like
but anyways,
DC and AC, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. So I'm really excited that you're here today because I know that you've got so much to share that's relevant to what we like to talk about. So I'm going to let Leanne introduce you and talk a little bit about who you are and where you come from.
Okay, perfect. So Lauren actually met, I think, Mike first, if I'm correct. Yeah, Lauren and Mike do a lot of networking. So in one of the networking circles, they became chatting. And in the realm of that, we learned that Lauren is a lawyer in the US, originally from Canada. So that intrigued us a lot, and she's helped us a lot with our journey in our real estate investing. So today, Jen and I were talking before, that we've had all real estate investors, but today is going to be different. We have somebody that supports the real estate investing world, and Lauren is a great asset to that, knowing Canada, but living in the US, which is 100% beneficial. And I'm going to let her tell you what her superpower is. So welcome, Lauren, to the show. And we're going to have a great chat today.
It'll be fun. So the first time that we broke bread was at Charlie's Steakhouse in Orlando, Florida. Just, I think, was it after? No, it was before you guys closed on your first property here in Florida, because you had already closed on a couple in Michigan. And we were, it was quite an experience. Remember that humongous steak? And we had so much fun together and really got to know each other and dig deep into friendship. And then we had champagne together as they were closing on their property, and we've had a lot of fun times. Jen and I have not met in person yet, but I'm sure that's just a matter of time. Hopefully here in Florida versus up north, but we go north. And yes, I am from Toronto originally, and I'm still licensed as a practicing lawyer in Ontario. I'm licensed in the US. I'm also a realtor down here and a franchise broker. So my superpower is actually in helping Canadians. They call me the Canadian Whisperer, helping Canadians invest in real estate in the US and make sure in the process that they aren't subject to double taxation or legal liability in doing so. I also help real estate investors find a path to immigrate through real estate and also find other paths to immigrate, whether it be through real estate or other business investments. So I love what I do. My ex-husband was deported on the way back from our honeymoon, which is what prompted me to become. Oh, you didn't know that, Jen? The story.
Sorry. You know what? My face talks all the time, and I really try to work on that, but I don't think I did it very well there.
So it's okay, because neither do I. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I am Canadian at the end of the day, and I can't help it. And I'm not a great gambler as a result, or a very good liar, unless I'm on the phone. Right. And then I can probably lie well because nobody can see me. But lately, everything's on Zoom. So yeah, my ex-husband was deported on the way back from a honeymoon, and as a result, I fought really hard to try to get him in, but X is the key, and fortunately I wasn't able to get him back into the country. He was originally from Montreal, and thank God was barred from entry into the US for 10 years. He was expeditiously removed, subsequently deported, and then barred from entry, and it was a blessing. And that's why the topic or subject title of my book is called Finding Your Silver Lining in the Business Immigration Process, because that was the silver lining, truly, is finding prosperity through adversity. So my superpower rests in finding a path to immigration through real estate and finding a way to turn adversity into prosperity.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was great.
But what brought you to Florida in the first place?
So I've been married twice. And my first lovely husband brought me to Florida, actually. So I was here in the 90s when some of you were kids. And I came here with him to find a better life. And I was miserable. I hated it. I actually hated it. There was nothing I liked about it other than a little bit of the warmth. And I moved back in 1997. I actually had an amazing job working for a division of Citigroup when I moved back. And my job was in Mississauga, and I lived in Thornhill. And I was I'm sorry, I can't get rid of this virtual background. It's very frustrating. I apologize.
No, that's fine. You look lovely.
Thank you. So I was driving to work from Thornhill to Mississauga along the 427 every day, and it was not fun. Okay, for a girl who had lived in Florida for 3 years, who hated the snow and the cold, it was just not fun driving to work every day. And I moved back in October, and I called my mom the very first day that I was driving, and I said to her, Mom, I think I'm just going to continue driving south because this is not working for me. Okay, it's just not working for me. So, and I lived in a condo, and then I ended up changing jobs, and I ended up working downtown, and I would literally go underground in my condo to the car. I would drive the car to the subway, park underground at the subway, go in the subway underground to the underground downtown in downtown Toronto, and never, ever come outside. I hate the cold. So I moved back in 2001, right before 9/11. So needless to say, I've had a very interesting career path, but so I'm here. I've been here now for 22 years and going on 23. And for the most part, it's pretty good. And I never knew that I would serve Canadians as exclusively as I do, but I work with Canadians almost every single day. I have at least 5 to 6 calls with Canadians. And I would say 5 out of every 6 of my clients are Canadians.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Really, it is, because, and I can only speak from an investing perspective, but there's such a wave of people that want to learn how to invest in the States and do it correctly. And like you said, not be subject to double taxation and all of those kinds of things. And how you structure yourself and how you start off is super important, right? Because if you don't start off right, you're always going to be backtracking to fix something. So, and I don't know of a lot of people like you that help people like us do what we're trying to do.
So I'm going to tell you something pretty interesting that I learned. And I was at I don't need to drop names, but I was at the highest end real estate conference in Canada 3 weekends ago in Niagara Falls. And they have somebody that specializes in Canadians investing in Canada and somebody that specializes in Americans investing in America, but nobody that specializes in Canadians investing in America. There is a lack of attention paid to that. There's a lot of attention paid to one side or the other side. My business partner, Carolyn Gallardo, who's a business partner of mine in a business that we created for my real estate investors that want to set up a real estate business for a visa, was part of Fortune Builder several years ago, invested in Columbus, Ohio, and lost a lot of money, not in her investments, but because she was a Canadian and they paid no attention to what happened to her when she took the money back to Canada. So she set up the completely wrong structure and ended up losing her shirt. Not literally, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, point being that it's very, very different. And if you don't have a cross-border team, you're going to miss that boat. And there are not a lot of people. Like, I have so many clients that come to me and say, I set up an LLC. Nope. Now, at this conference, there was a speaker, an American, that was a hard money lender that said you should do X, Y, Z. Okay, Z. And the Z was wrong because the Z said, and set up an LLC. I can guarantee you that half that room went out and set up an LLC. But he's American. And for the Canadians that do that, they're going to end up being in trouble with the CRA. But they don't care.
Yeah.
And that's a problem, okay? Now, it's not a problem if you get a visa. But if you're not getting a visa, like Mike and Leanne, who are staying in Canada, if they don't have that LP or they don't have the right structure, they're going to end up paying somebody. And what's the point?
Yeah.
Then why are you bothering to do all this work, okay? Theming this beautiful home in Orlando, spending all of your hard-earned money to do that so that you can earn that money on your short-term rental and then end up paying the CRA. Hello, they don't need your money. Well, they might think they do. But anyway, the point is that it's worth investing in your future, whatever that future looks like, and taking the time and effort. And not too many people do that. And they just want to take the shortcuts, and the shortcuts do not work. So I invest in your future the right way with the right professionals, and it's going to cost a little extra. We aren't cheap, but cheap doesn't get you the results you want, does it?
No. And I have this talk with my accountant all the time, right? Like, she's not cheap either, but what she saves us in tax and fees and all kinds of different stuff every year makes it well worth what she charges us. Right. And it would be no different utilizing your services to ensure that the structure is what the structure needs to be.
Correct. So the twofold too of the structure is it protects you, well, for your taxation with the CRA, but it also protects you against other stuff as well, correct?
Correct. Legal liability is a very big factor. Okay. And also, what we do with most clients is we set up a structure that has flexibility, because you never know if you might, like, look, Mike and Leanne, they have kids that are eventually going to leave the nest, and maybe at that point they'll decide they want to move south. Maybe they want to be in the warmth more. Maybe they want to go back and forth more. Even if they don't want to move, people want a visa in order to have the flexibility. And this is something that a lot of people don't realize, okay? I have many clients that live in Canada and have a visa so that they can go back and forth freely. I have one colleague who's a lawyer, originally from Toronto. He runs a law firm that gets people E2 visas. He lives in Rochester, New York, and through COVID, he wasn't in the US 95% of the time. He was in Spain. He has his own E2 visa. So he has that. So he had the flexibility of running his business from the US, going back and forth, and not having that restriction. Because the visa, this particular visa, unlike a green card, does not have a residency requirement. And people don't realize that. You can be anywhere in the world running your business as long as you have a nexus of control and operational guidance, okay? So it's all about creating the right structure and the right business operational model to make it make sense for you and for your business.
Makes sense to me. No, it's true. And it's about limiting your liability, right? And you want to grow, and I know I can only speak for us, right? So Steff and I, we are growing in the States. Every year we're getting bigger and bigger, and we're adding more to our portfolio. And I'm happy to sit down and have the conversations and spend a little bit of extra money to make sure our structure is what it needs to be, because I don't want that to be my focal point, right? Like, that's not my priority in our investing journey, but I'm aware that it needs to be done. So if you get it done right the first time, the likelihood is you're not going to have to spend all kinds of time moving forward on that kind of stuff if you do it right the first time, which is what makes it appealing to me.
Yep. So do it right the first time, and you won't have it. Isn't that always the case, though? Even as a lawyer, okay, how many people download documents online and think they're going to save a few bucks, and then they're like, oh, why did this happen or that happen? Because the document says X, whatever the document name is, and it's not what it says it is. And if it was, then we lawyers wouldn't have anything to do. So you end up being penny wise and pound foolish. And if you did it right the first time, you'd save yourselves a lot of pain and anguish. And cheap and cheerful never works. That's my mom's terminology, by the way.
Yeah, that's a good one. Cheap and cheerful. I'll have to remember that one. So you've been in the US for a long time, Lauren, and
I
you're
have.
working, do you only work with Canadians? Like, do you
No.
work with American investors investing in the
Yes.
States? Like, what's your, I know a portion of what you deal with is with other Canadians,
Yes.
but what else does your business look like? Like, who else are you working with and what kind of stuff are they doing?
Sure. I work with actually people from all over the world. I work with a lot of Israelis, a lot of Brazilians, Mexicans, Colombians, Costa Ricans, you name it. I work with people from everywhere. I do work with a lot of Americans because of the scope of what I do, because I help them find realtors all over the country. And I also help Americans that are investing in Canada, for example, or Mexicans investing in Canada, or Canadians investing in Mexico. And also, because of the international scope of my practice, I might look at an extraterritorial agreement and figure out how to deal with the involvement of the scope of the agreement and how it impacts the investor or even the business owner that's expanding their business into another country or into South America. Being in Florida, it's a hub. It's a kind of a central hub for South America and international investment. And there's a lot of international expansion that kind of sits here in Miami and South Florida as a hub. Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting. Like, I'm fascinated just with the idea of talking to so many different people from so many different places doing so many different things. I think that's incredible.
Well, it's pretty cool actually, because as you know, I'm going to Israel in 10 days. You've probably been following me on Facebook. I have my countdown going, and it's pretty fun. But it so happens, as I'm going on this trip, I'm going on a mom trip. So it's 600 moms from around the world, 20 from Boca. There'll be tons from Toronto that I'll probably know all of them. So there's 600 moms, and it's called Momentum, and it's a trip that's been going on for about 30 years, and it's pretty neat. Or I don't know how long, maybe 20. Anyway, I'm also part of this thing called Israel 360, and it's by invitation only, and it's entrepreneurs from literally every country in the world. And most of them have never been to Israel, have no knowledge of Israel as Startup Nation, which is Israel's coined name. So because it is the startup nation, it has the most startups per capita of any country in the world, and very, very, very tech driven. So
I would never have guessed that.
It's the most incredible country. I mean, I love it. It's my home, like in my heart. It's the best country. It has the most dynamic, like it's this tiny little country in the middle of all these neighbors that hate us. And at one end of the country, you've got these mountains, and then you've got you've got the Dead Sea, and then you've got this rock, like this black sand. Like, it's just super cool, and you have the most beautiful beaches in the whole world. It's amazing. Okay, on top of that, you have people and like activity, and because it was built by pioneers, that is kind of what prompted this whole startup development, because they had to do something. Anyway, so this thing is called Israel 360. So all of these entrepreneurs built these tech-driven, mostly tech, like water. They have a thing that turned air into water. I mean, imagine that in the desert. They turn air into water. Anyway, okay, so we're not talking about Israel. We're talking about real estate, and there are huge real estate investors coming out of Israel. The point is that these people, I set up 10-minute calls with them. I just had a call now with this company that built, what do you call it, like virtual reality for real estate investors. And I just got off the call with them, and they do virtual reality for all these real estate investors around the world. Super cool for like real estate developments, real estate investors, and they're from Argentina. And the other day I was talking with a Costa Rican company. Then I spoke with, like, they have lots of Brazilians, like Indian companies, Mexican, everywhere, South African. I've been on the phone with people from all over the world. But one of the guys this morning just got his visa. He said, "Oh, I wish I had known you." So, it's pretty neat stuff that's happening. And I love being very international. And there are some people from Canada in there too, but, most of them are from really, like, interesting countries that speak all different languages, and it's very fun.
I can't wait to hear how it goes. I wouldn't have paid that much attention to it on Facebook, but I'm totally going to now. Absolutely. No, that's fantastic.
Sitting with Lauren is just it's the stories that she says is just mesmerizing. We spent
it's very
together. It was like just hearing all the stories and all the stuff that she can. It's crazy.
It's true. I could listen all day. Like it's just it's dynamic and it's interesting and it's different, and I think it's.
Oh, that's
really
my kid. Like, Mom, stop talking. I don't want to hear you anymore.
Yeah, we've all got kids. We all hear those stories, right? Absolutely.
So visas, going back to the visa. So what is the process if I'm a real estate investor and I want to get a visa? What's the process and how long does this take? And when should I be thinking of this?
Sure. So thank you for asking that. It's interesting because as a rule, real estate is frowned upon as a path. Real estate investment is frowned upon as a path to a visa. Why? Because real estate is a tangible asset, and a visa is based on an investment in your money has to be at risk. Your money cannot be invested in a tangible asset. So the business it can't be a prom note and something like that. So as a rule, in the past, and most immigration lawyers think, no way can a real estate investor get a visa. I say no, and I challenge that every day of the week. And as a matter of fact, there's a lot of big real estate investors in Canada that have gone to immigration lawyers in the US, and they say, nope, that won't work. And they come to me, and I've written business plans for them over time. That was what I started doing. And now I do the full scope of services. And I'm like, they're wrong. The difference is that a real estate investor is generally passive, okay? Like you, for example. Leanne, you and Mike are not actively day-to-day running your short-term rental in Orlando. You're not there, pounding the pavement, checking it out every day. You're a property management company that you've hired. If, on the other hand, as we've talked about, you were down there running it, doing an event company with it, running it boots on the ground, and you had a property manager that you hired and you turned that into a full-time business, my superpower is turning that passive real estate investor into an active real estate business owner. And together with Carolyn, we have created this business, as you know, called Strategic REI. Strategic REI builds a business around your business model. If it's short-term rental, if it's multifamily, if it's themed out properties, if it's specific types of short-term rentals, we build a model built around what you want to do, custom built a turnkey business so that your real estate business can qualify for a visa. Now, the building of the business can be as short as or as long as you need it to be, because it's about building the business and buying a property or two and kind of rolling out the business to some degree, hiring that first employee, and then building the business plan. Then you apply for the visa. So that process can take as long as, let's say, 2 to 6 months, depending on the client. Mm-hmm. Then you wait for the immigration officer or the consular officer to grant to grant the interview. And that could take as long as a year. Our most recent one, which was granted last Wednesday, was originally supposed to happen next May. We applied for an expedited interview, and we were granted that expedited interview last Wednesday and got the approval within 22 minutes. So, wow. And we've done that every single time in 2022. So even though the average length of time for an interview is about like 222 days, our average length of time is about 22 days or 32 days. There's no science to it. We just have a system and we follow it, and it's been very successful. Can I guarantee it? Nope. Would I promise it? Nope. Would I say that we have a very good track record? Yes. And certainly I would probably 3 out of every 4 of our clients are real estate investors. So we have a model that does work. and maybe 2 out of every 3. Our other model is that we find a franchise that will complement the real estate investment, like, for example, a cleaning service or a property management company, or something that will complement the real estate investment, so that the visa is not dependent on the real estate investment. So you can do whatever, you can make whatever real estate investments you want. You can buy and sell them. You don't have to report anything, because it's not dependent on your real estate investments at all, and they have no bearing on the actual visa. So that can give you a little more flexibility in terms of your ability and freedom to buy and sell and flip and do whatever you want with the real estate.
So if I was to do like a cleaning company, like you said, because for my short-term rental, does it have to be so many employees? Does it have to be, all that kind of good stuff?
Yeah. And there's no like specific number. So we're doing a cleaning company investment right now. It's a green cleaning company. It's a franchise, and the investment amount is not huge. So, and they're going to hire 2 people by the time that they actually apply for the visa. It's a nice little cleaning company. They'll be hiring 5 employees over the 5 years of the visa, maybe more. And the returns are quite nice, not huge, but it's a nice small business to own. Now, the other thing to remember, and this is something good for somebody like Jen, for example, let's say that Jen and Steff decided to do this, and Jen is a realtor. So Steff could be the applicant, and Jen could get her real estate license and buy and sell real estate freely, because she gets a derivative visa. And there's no restriction on the derivative to be employed or to be self-employed even. The beneficiary has to work for the business, but the derivative does not.
There you go, Jen. You have your in already.
There, I'm sold. Done. I'll be in Florida in 22 days with my bag knocking on Lauren's door.
And the hockey sticks.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'll bring baseball bats, because Stephen likes to play baseball too.
Yeah.
So now with a visa like this, Lauren, because I know this is your bread and butter, right? This is kind of what you do, and you do it really well, and all of those kinds of things. Are they renewable? Like, once you get a visa, do you have it forever? Do you have to kind of requalify? What does that look like?
It's every 5 years, and it's renewable as long as you continue to have the business as a going concern and show that you continue to meet the requirements. It's generally renewed. And sometimes it's actually even extendable to 7 years. So they're especially for Canadians. And if you have a business in Canada, you might even, provided that you meet certain requirements and you have a certain number of employees and so on, you might even be able to qualify for what's called an EB1C, which is a multinational executive or manager, and therefore get a green card that way. There are other ways to get a green card through this visa, but then you'd have to increase your investment amount, and real estate is a little challenging with that, because it's not going to, the investment would not be in real estate to qualify to increase that investment. But we're pretty creative. So,
yeah.
And also, like, if you have like some kind of like superpower of your own, for example, with the theming, okay? If you, like, let's say that you build a theming company, you might be able to say that you have some amazing theming extraordinary powers, and you were able to provide that service to other people. So you could do what's called an EB1, or like an extraordinary ability visa, or a national interest waiver. So there's a lot of different ways to get access to a green card. The E2 does not lead directly to a green card, but that does not mean that there are not ways to get to a green card.
Lots of information.
I know, like, my head is just like, my brain's on fire, just kind of going, oh God, I don't even know what to think of first, because there's just so much of it. So,
well, when is this going to air, by the way? Because we have webinars once a month, and I'd love your people to come to one of our webinars, and you can also follow us. We have the group Canadians Investing in the U.S. and what is it? Canadians Investing in the U.S. Canadians Investing in and Immigrating to the U.S. on Facebook, and Investing Across Borders. Everything is branded with Investing Across Borders all over social media. So,
yeah, no, and you are everywhere for sure, and it's easy to find you and track you and see what you're up to. And I know when I've got some spare time, I do like checking in to see what you've got going on, because it's always changing, right? And there's always new stuff coming. And I think you do a really great job of explaining what you do and selling it to people that would benefit from it. So I know, and you and I have talked about this over the last few months, like I really need to sit down now with you and talk about our structure, just because I think I've bought too much and we need to kind of redefine our processes and make sure that I'm in good shape kind of moving forward. So that is on my list for when you're back from your big mom trip. But I think that it's really important because there are so many Canadians that are interested in the States, right? Lower price points, higher cash flow. There's a lot of benefit to it. Vacation homes, like Mike and Leanne tapped into something beautiful in Florida, and that will grow with them forever, right?
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of Canadians that really want to get into that, but find themselves really overwhelmed because they don't know where to start. And there's been so many horror stories of people losing their shirts and not knowing how to structure properly. And I think that you're a great first stop, to kind of have those conversations and say, this is what I want to do. And I would really like it if you could kind of help me get started.
By the way, a lot of people say to me, well, why would I do that? It's 40% on the dollar. But what does that mean, Leanne? If it's 40% on the dollar, right? Then when you get the money in, it's 40% on the dollar.
On the dollar.
Right?
That's
So
exactly.
it's all relative because, and I understand, because I will tell you, this is a crazy story. When I bought my first house here in Florida, I paid 60 cents on the dollar. It was at an all-time low. It was the craziest thing ever. I remember, like, literally, it was crazy. I sold my house in downtown Toronto, which was the stupidest thing ever. And then I bought my house here, which was the second stupidest thing ever, with the lowest exchange rate, like the highest, but the lowest ever. Okay. And it was just crazy. So, and the mortgage rates were high at the time. And still I did it. I mean, what do you do? It is what it is. You just do it, right? So you have to there is no time, like then people say, well, the rates are high now and the prices are high and shouldn't I wait? And isn't there going to be a recession? And who knows? If we had a crystal ball, like, do you think Mike and Leanne thought there's going to be a hurricane and they're going to have to worry about their house? I mean, no. But did the hurricane do much damage? No. Okay. There's hurricanes in Florida. You have to deal with it. But at the end of the day, there's also a lot of benefits of, you just have to bite the bullet and don't wait until the perfect time, because the perfect time is now.
No, it's true. And we've had this conversation, Leanne and I have had this conversation literally hundreds of times, right? Even if you do real estate wrong, you know what I mean? If you can kind of figure it out as you go, it's still going to work out in the end, right? Like, and that's the reality of it. And like you said, the best time to do it is right now. And the more you try to time the market, the more you're going to screw up anyways, and you're going to talk yourself out of doing something that you likely should have just done in the first place. Right?
So I'm going to say one more thing that I really love about Lauren, and this is another superpower of hers, is she keeps Mike and I on track. we got so much stuff going on. Lauren, are you doing this now? Come on, we need to do this now. And it's like, oh yeah, I totally forgot. I'm glad you're keeping us on track.
I don't keep myself on track, but I keep all my clients and friends on track, just not myself. Okay, it's like the shoemaker with no shoes, right?
And that's usually how it goes,
isn't it though? And that's why I'm going to Israel, because I need to get myself on track.
Absolutely. And I mean, what a great opportunity to just kind of, relax and take a breath, take in what's around. I think that's fantastic. And you know what? You'll come back refreshed, and you'll come back excited and rejuvenated and well rested, and you'll be ready to dive into our corporate structure and help us figure out our way out.
That's my number one priority when I get back. 100%.
100%. Say hi to your son, right?
That's it. Get my kid. He's okay. I'll just say, sorry, Zebby, I've got to look after Jen. That's it.
Yeah. Jen needs some structure work. So you know what? You're just going to have to wait. See, you get me.
I get you. Well, I'm going to share with you guys the link to join my masterclass because I would love you to come next week, Jen. It's actually really, and you too, of course, Leanne, but that goes without saying. It's actually really, really great. I have an amazing kind of newish team. Some people have rejoined me, and one girl is so amazing with graphics that the presentation is like amazing. I mean, it's like nothing you've ever seen before. I was blown away. I presented it last night and I ran through it so quickly because there's 100 slides, but I didn't think I would get through it, and I did. And so now I've got it. Now next week when I present, it'll be like, but she did such a great job with the graphics and the presentation, and it's really nice. So I'm very excited. So I look forward to sharing that with you guys.
Yeah,
and
great.
Thank you for having me on your podcast. And soon I'm going to relaunch my podcast, probably in January, so you guys can come on.
We have one more part before you say bye.
Oh goodness, one more part.
Oh yeah, I know Leanne's got to do her lightning round. We can't.
I knew there was going to be a lightning round.
You're trying to avoid it. That was the lawyer in you trying to get like.
Okay, lightning.
All right, yeah. Lightning round. First answer that comes to your mind. Quick answers.
No chit chat.
No. So I'll go first. Eating out or cooking at home?
Oh, that's a funny question. Yeah, and I'm sure you can answer this.
I think we all can. Come on, let's be real.
I don't even have food.
Lauren, do you cook?
No.
That's wonderful. Okay, so what is your favorite hidden gem when you come home to Toronto?
Like restaurant? Like what do you mean?
What something that that isn't really mainstream that you just like to check out when you come home?
Aroma.
And what's that?
Aroma Cafe.
Oh, nice. I'll have to mark that down.
Yeah, Aroma. My favorite. They have them here, but they're far, and in Toronto they're better. Oh. It's actually an Israeli cafe, but they have a lot of locations, and one is right near my brother, which is where I usually stay.
Nice.
Best coffee, and like they have ice aroma. Get it? It's worth driving to Toronto.
Yeah, okay? I'll remember that the next time we're there.
Yeah,
I know the answer.
And by the way, I'm over Tim Hortons. I had it in Niagara Falls, and I'm like, it was disgusting. Okay, sorry, not a fan anymore. I took a picture because it has the flag. But I'm like, it's really, I don't know. I heard Brazilians bought it. It's not Canadian anymore. I'm not impressed.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. See, the more you know.
There you go.
Blue Jays or Miami Marlins?
I'm very disappointed with their performance, but like my son, I mean, have you seen that child? All he wears is Blue Jays crap all the time. He wears Guerrero, he wears Brouillette. I had to take him to the Tampa thing, blah, 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 24 hours a day. People think that I've indoctrinated him. I had nothing to do with it. He's a Blue Jays fan. So we are a Blue Jays team through and through.
Right on. Excellent. So what is your go-to pastime when you have quiet time with nothing left to do and you're not talking to countries all over the world?
Netflix.
What do you do?
I'm a Netflix junkie.
What are you watching right now?
I just finished a show which was kind of stupid called The Watcher. That was stupid. But the show before, for anybody that doesn't know anything about Israel, you should watch the show. I understand it's not available in English in Canada yet because my mom was like desperately looking for it. It's called The Beauty Queen of Jerusalem. And it's about Israel before Israel became a state. And it's so interesting, like for especially if you don't know about like Israeli politics and like British rule. It's a brilliant show, so well done. Everybody here that I've spoken to thought it was outstanding. Prior to that, I watched, there's a show called The Spy about the Mossad in the 60s, which is also incredible. And then what was the other show I watched right before that? I can't remember, but like I binge watch. It's terrible. And then my eyes hurt and I can't see. It's not good.
Oh, Lauren, I always enjoy talking with you.
Oh, and my Peloton. My Peloton. Perfect. This morning I had a call and I couldn't like I had put the Peloton on pause, and I had put it on pause too long. So I had a call. It started at 10, and I couldn't pause the Peloton. I said to her, "Do you mind waiting 8 minutes so I could finish?" She goes, "No." I said, "Okay." So she waited. I was like, "I'm sorry." She was a Toronto girl. I was like, "I'll just be honest with you. I have to finish my Peloton. It's important. Whatever." Okay. Next question.
We're done. That's it.
Yeah.
Honestly. So, Lauren, I really want to take this opportunity to thank you, because it's always a tornado when we talk to you, but it's a tornado with so much amazing information. And you have such an awesome way of presenting it and just letting people know that this is what it is. And you do a great job of keeping it real, which is kind of what we're all about. And I wish you the very best on your trip, and I hope you have a wonderful time. And we can't wait to hear more about it when you get back. So again, thank you so much for. I
have one favor to ask Leanne.
Yeah.
When you come to Orlando, please bring me a real Cadbury fruit and nut bar, and just send it, like mail it from Orlando to me, okay? Cadbury fruit and nut, because the ones here are not the same. Okay? That's my special request. I thank you ladies very much. I hope I'll see you on the webinar next week. And I look forward to our corporate structure and E2 discussion the minute I am back in Florida.
No, it doesn't have to be the minute. You could take the rest of that day. Really, you can call me the next day.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.